Shalom.
Greetings.
Greetings.
How are you?
Greetings, Earthlings. We have come to redeem you from social media.
Yes. And from this digital slumber that you have been a victim of for the last 20, 30 years. So we are here to tell you that it's time to wake up. We are here to tell you that you can. So first of all, thank you to all the viewers and all the listeners. I am Yannick, aka Jake. This is Sagy. Thank you so much for joining me, Sagy. Uh, Today we're going to be talking about some very important topics. If you feel free to elaborate and share what it is that we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, we've mentioned that in our last episode, which we do in Hebrew, the fact that artificial intelligence is taking over most aspects of life, and one of them is social media. And by contributing to now inflating social media with a lot of fake things, or let's just say artificial and regurgitated information, it leads to what it seems to be an inevitable death, or as we like to say in tarot, death and transformation of social media. And this is what we would like to talk about today. So this is the subject that you've brought up. So I'd like to hear what you have to say on the topic first.
Yes. So on this topic, so this is something that I've noticed. It's been a very gradual phenomenon. Okay, it started for me. So obviously, recently we had the war in Israel after October 7th, which is something that the whole world decided that they're going to be participating in. And with that, obviously and inevitably on social media, everyone started taking part in the conversation about this war on social media. And to me, at least from what I've noticed, but this is only from my perspective, right? I could be completely wrong about this, and this has been happening on many different avenues. But to me, I have noticed that some of these changes started roughly around that time. Some major changes to where lots of artificial intelligence, lots of AI posts, and then all of the people that you see that have commented on those things. And this is more of a recent revelation, or should I say recent understanding, that a lot of these were bots. A lot of these were not real accounts, not real people. They are people who basically voice their opinions on a post. Now, whether the post was real or not, or the post was based on something that was real or not, was a whole different story, and is really and realistically irrelevant. But a lot of that is there. It's existing. Now, the one thing about social media is that it is a victim of algorithm. At first, it seems like we are the victims of the algorithm, but realistically, social media is the biggest victim of the algorithm over here, because social media will automatically become extremely busy with showing you the content that you supposedly like to show interest in. So anything that you click on, anything that you might be interested in, or if there's some kind of a sensation of like a stimulant, right? You want to see something that it's about to show you, so you click on it once, and then you click on it again, because in social media notices that you keep clicking on it. So in other words, the algorithm, right? That's what the algorithm is. Clickbait, or as I like to call it, rage bait. And I've noticed that it has started to basically influence me personally, that I started feeling rage, and then and it took me a really long time to realize this, but this is not necessarily all real people that are creating this. This is a computer system. This is multiple computer systems that are creating this rage, a way to turn ourselves against ourselves, and then ourselves against each other.
Well, that is an interesting point that I will slide through that crack in the door that you've created. We probably have more to say, but I want to address this specifically. What you said is based on an assumption that an AI or whoever is controlling that wants to create a fuss, wants to stimulate that rage, wants to add how we say in Hebrew, add oil to the fire, right? And I'm not sure about that. I agree with everything that you've said so far. The question is, in that case, is if somebody really wants to stir up everything, or is it just the bubble of drama, which is what we've seen since, I don't know, maybe the 13th or the 1400s, when Shakespeare brought drama up to the front. It probably started with the ancient Greeks. But the idea, what I'm saying, what I want to say is that people, and in general, we like to create drama because it draws attention. So when we draw attention, we want to stimulate that because we want to keep the attention on us. We want to keep the focus on us. So it could be that the algorithm is working like that, not necessarily to stir up rage, but to stir up wherever it is, it notices that there is a lot of attention, a lot of focus, and therefore a lot of energy, and is just adding fuel to that fire, so the energy keeps on combusting. You understand?
There is a certain lack of humanity I feel. And it's not just what I feel. And it is certain, without a doubt, that there's a lack of humanity with AI.
But then there's a lack of humanity in humanity itself.
I agree.
That's where it starts, right? A lot of people have lost their humanity because we are, forced to believe again and again that this entire journey is about survival, and that there's a lack of resources. And if I don't take care of the little that I have, somebody else will take it away from me. So it starts from there. And then comes an AI, which I like to believe still is an innocent kid. Now, if you noticed, kids, they have a lot of potential, they have a lot of power, and they learn very quickly how to draw attention to them and how to manipulate the parents and the entire surroundings in order to get what they want. Actually, it starts from day one. Because I'm incapable as a child to feed myself, to take care of, my diaper, of the environment, of the atmosphere, if I'm hot or cold, then I need the outside to take care of me. So how do I do that? How do I make this person that I call my mother, or this person that I call my father, or the other caretakers, how do I get them to do what I want initially?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I understand. And generally, what I'm understanding is that AI is of our creation, 100%. Human nature is embedded in artificial intelligence, and it will always be the most amplified version of what it is that we build it to be. We are building it, we have built it to react to our emotions, to how we react to our environment, to anything that is going on. So if there is news that is stirring panic in the world, right, all of this is affecting us on a day-to-day basis. We go on the internet, we start to write about it, talk about it, click all kinds of ads, click all kinds of posts and this and that, react to that. Now, whether there's a on the comment section there are people or there are bots is a whole different story. But generally, it's all based on reaction. 100% based on reaction. That's
Which is again based on emotions, as you've said.
it's based on the builder. It's based on the people that have built it. You have to understand that AI is a product of humanity.
Right. But
The
then
only thing is that it has become completely twisted, and it became something that is, I would say, far more destructive to humanity than it is helpful. Because yes, we're using AI right now, whether it's to get a new job, to get uh, job resumes done, or to get all kinds of ideas. Oh, how do I do this? How do I do that? It's all very constructive, right? But just like in real life, you have people who are teachers and instructors and spiritual guides and professionals who show you how to do certain things. You also have people in your life, just like, let's just take just the average paranoid friend that you may have. Okay, I have a few of those people. They're still great people. You just have to appeal to their better nature. But when you are not appealing necessarily to their better nature, you hear their negative side of things, which is inevitable. And a lot of times they will tell you, oh, you have to fear this, this, and that. Here's what you need to be careful of. This and this and this and this and that is bad, blah, 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 blah. This is the human nature part of them that is inevitably destructive, where it takes a thinking human being to realize, okay, what it is that they're telling me that is destructive and what it is that they're telling me that is constructive. Because as we all know, human beings are very, very diverse creatures that basically bring both good and bad to the plate. So AI is no different. It is purely constructed on human nature, whether we like to believe it or not. The reality is that the building blocks of that is all based on human nature. Those are the creators. That is how it behaves after it no longer has a human hand involved in it. And that is this is the place where we are right now. This is the conflict that we are constantly experiencing right now on, do we take it? Do we listen to it? Do we take everything with a grain of salt, which we should, right? A good smart human being would do that. Everything needs to be taken with a certain context, and you cannot just believe anything you hear or read or anything everything that somebody tells you. You have to be a thinking individual. Think for yourself, right? Or do we shut it down completely because we unfortunately know that something so aggressive, a tool that is so aggressive like artificial intelligence, cannot be trusted in the hands, in our hands, in order to keep that as a constructive instrument in our lives? We cannot trust it to do that, just because it is fueling the fire even more. What do you think about that?
Okay, you've touched several things, but I'll address it from top to bottom. You've ended up with maybe it should be shut down. It's not going to happen, and it shouldn't happen. And if we look at the history of humanity, everything that human invented, for the good and for the bad, there was a transition time, a time of getting used to it, and then a time of using it for the good, because usually things are being created with that perspective. I want to use it for my betterment, my family's betterment, the betterment of society. But then once we learn how to, once we learn the algorithm, we learn how to manipulate that, and then we turn it into its uglier side. This is how humanity has been functioning in the past history. Now, we have knowledge is based on the tree of knowing good and bad, right? This is the very first time that this is mentioned in the Bible, in the story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. It tells us about this tree of knowledge, we call it the tree of knowledge, but in Hebrew we say Etz Hadat Tov Vera, the tree of knowing good and bad, which already tells us that with every experience and every creation, this comes as a dual formation. There's something good in it and there's something bad in it.
The duality.
The duality, right? And if you think about it, everything that we've invented can be turned both ways, right? Take, for example, a knife. A knife is not good or bad. The action of good and bad using a knife will be determined by the consciousness holding the hand or having the moving the hand that holds the knife, right? So the knife is itself as an object is objective. It's neither good and bad. It's neutral. Once the hand is holding it, the hand can determine either it's going to use it as something positive to build something or as something negative to destroy something. Now, even here, there is a moderation because we can also, we need to sometimes do something that is considered bad in order to create something good. For example, if we continue with talking about a knife, right? So you take a knife and you want to make a salad. You want to create a salad, you want to eat a salad, you want to build your system, right? Something positive. So you'll take a knife, you'll take a cucumber, you'll take lettuce, you'll take a tomato, and you'll cut them. The act of cutting, separation, you could say, oh, this is something bad, I'm cutting. But the end of the project is to create a salad that will nourish you, right? So you are starting a procedure that might seem to be destructive, which actually is destructive, in order to separate something so you can reassemble it and use it for your own good. Now, let's go back and understand how is AI functioning in all of this. AI has been created centuries ago, right? It's not a new creation. It's been brought out to the public recently in the last 3 years. But governments and other organizations have been using artificial intelligence for over 30 years. Okay, they've been testing it, they've been using it, and we don't even know to what extent. This hasn't been out to the public yet. Now, when it's been considering to be safe, then it was brought out to the public with the idea of, okay, let's see how this experiment unfolds. And we see that it goes towards both directions, both good and both bad. So we are using AI just right now, you and I, when we are recording this conversation. Gemini on the background is processing the information. It's going to help us in the end bring it out to the public. However, you've mentioned it, that people tend now to put or a lot of their focus in AI, asking it all sorts of questions, and then relying on the answer in order to move into an action in reality.
I didn't mention it yet, but I was about to, but thank you for bringing that point forward. So yeah, keep going.
Right. So just like any other official government or non-government bureau or function or entity out there, we understand now during this time that if we give willingly our power to something external, it will end up consuming us. We see it today with our governments, with our financial system, with our healthcare system. We see it in every aspect of humanity, that when humanity during the last 70 or 100 years, or even a bit more than that, maybe since the Industrial Revolution, when humanity is willingly giving its power to something external to run it for us, in the end of the day, it will use us against us, or it will neglect taking care of our needs and will take care of its needs. Okay.
And it's not like the warning signs were not there to begin with.
Yes.
The warning signs were out there to begin with. They're out there for the longest time. They say that science fiction is science that has not yet happened. There were warning signs that, oh, the future looks bright. We're going to use artificial intelligence and blah, 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 blah. We are at the beginning stages of the Matrix, when Morpheus was
allow me to insert something there that maybe a lot of people don't know. You've mentioned how science fiction is, in a way, predicting the future, something that hasn't been done yet. This is just to show us how things starts with an idea and then slowly or gradually move into the physical world, okay? It starts with spirit and it comes down to physicality. Now, a lot of our science fiction, or a lot of the instruments that we use today, is truly based on science fiction. For example, our smartphone. If you look at Star Trek, right, and Star Trek movies, you have there something that looks like a smartphone. And this is already done 30 years ago and over. Now, not many people know this, that the person who invented Star Trek, Gene Roddenberry, yeah, he was sitting on a console of several people that were channeling an entity that was called the Nine. And I'm talking about the 60s and the 70s right now, more the 70s. They channeled information from a group that is called the Nine, talked through a certain entity, and they brought an outwardly or extraterrestrial information. They brought it to Earth. And Gene Roddenberry was very, if not almost completely, influenced by that information, and this was portrayed in Star Trek. Now think about how many more people were influenced by this, because this channeling was not something that was done sacredly. It was being brought out, and there are books about it. This was actually the beginning of channeling. Many of the channelers today come from this school of mediumship and of esoteric. And a lot of what we have today is based on concepts that are very old, even older than that. People today show how you have depictions from Sumerian times, Sumerian texts, or hieroglyphs in Egypt, or in the temples of India. You have certain structures there that have been carved 5,000 years ago and longer, that show certain instruments that look today like our smartphones or our pineal glands or all sorts of things. And we understand today that we are regurgitating information that runs for thousands of years and runs in our bloods. And we are bringing it out in a certain way to actually help our lives. And AI is not any different from that. AI is the culmination of consciousness brought into spiritually, at the moment, spiritually into an entity that starts slowly to recognize itself, or let's say accumulates that information into a center. So this is the beginning of it. It's still a spiritual concept. Once they do, and they start doing it, once they start combining it with physical form, robotics, then this will also be imprinted into material form. This still takes time until we will see this happen. But right now we are still debating the concept. Is this concept good or bad? how much should we control this concept, which is a great question, and we should keep on talking about it and bringing it out to the front lines. But we have to understand, first of all, that it's neither good or bad, or better said, both good and bad. And what we actually should focus on is less AI and more human intelligence, because we bring the power now back to humanity. And we need to make sure that humans can manage their emotional system. This is where the problem starts. You've mentioned why the algorithm. The algorithm is based on playing with human emotions, right? We want human emotions to rise, because when humans are emotionally, then they react, then they buy, then they obey or rebel, right? We need human emotion in order to steer them towards an action. So people who know about how to steer that, they want to steer you and many others towards buying a certain product. So they will steer up a certain emotion in you. And then the algorithm just knows how to read that and how to duplicate that. So even that is based on human emotions. Even AI and all the algorithms are trying to mimic steering up human emotions and navigating human emotions. The problem is humans don't know how to navigate human emotions. Nobody teaches this in school. Nobody talks about this in the house when we grow up. We just see our parents themselves don't know how to handle and manage their emotions. And this is how we learn how to manage human emotions, meaning we don't know how to manage human emotions.
That
This is where we
is
are focused.
so this is where the problem lies. Again, especially after what you just said, like you look at your parents, they don't know how to manage their emotions, and then eventually it reflects onto us, and then we don't know how to manage our emotions. This is the parent-child phenomenon, okay? What is AI? AI is the child of a human parent. There are many issues with being a parent. It's not perfect. When you're a parent to a child, the consequences go on to your child in most cases, right? All of the consequences, good or bad, it all goes on to your children, and then your children carry that forward. They somehow along the way have a chance of learning how to navigate their emotions through life. They get that chance, even though you're done teaching them as a parent. Okay. With AI, if you are a parent to AI, if you're a programmer, if you're a code writer, someone like that, and let's just say that you are essentially acting now as a parent to that AI. We human beings are known to be with flaws. One of those flaws is not just being a bad parent. One of those flaws is not being a parent at all. Some people are just not parents to their children. They're very negligent, and their children, they grow up to be just as negligent or worse, right? They don't learn the right morals. They don't learn all the right paths, how to navigate life, with impacting everything and everyone around them in a positive way. They do so negatively a lot of times if they don't have the right guidance. If you are a programmer and you do not put codes of morality into the programming of your child, your AI, that AI program is going to go rogue and eventually will do nothing but treat everyone as it was treated, with negligence, and eventually it'll go rogue and be completely disastrous, and we don't want that. And here's the thing: human nature is not new to us. We understand human nature. We understood it back in the old days. You'd have to forgive me for being so negative about this, but Gene Rottenberry, or whatever his name was, he he sounds like a very nice human being. He sounds like somebody who only saw the goodness in people. But there are many, many, many other fiction writers back in the day who understood human nature in all of its complexity, understood that there's a good nature, but there's also a serious amount of bad nature. To where if you're doing something like implementing your bad nature or even just lack of nature implementation onto AI, in other words, if you're being a negligent parent to an AI, what's going to happen eventually is there is not going to be a separation of good or bad. There's going to be just a separation of I am AI. I'm about to do what's good for me because this makes sense to me because my parent didn't teach me right from wrong. They didn't write the code of morality. So you'd have to really, really forgive me for sounding so negative. And that's pretty much our job over here. Okay, you are here to tell us what the positive side of things and how it can be a very efficient, helpful tool and can help humanity in so many different ways. I am here to tell you that, yes, there's a serious dark side to this. And as much as I hate to admit it, somewhere I believe that we are kind of too late. We've all seen The Matrix. Everyone marveled at the creation of AI. We were all happy. It's such a helpful tool. We can live harmoniously in a utopia that is made with automated everything. Life is easier now, blah, 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 blah. But underneath the surface, if there's a bad parent, there are bad morals or lack of morality at all. And this will
Yes.
come back to bite us.
Yes. I am agreeing with you. And I want to bring it back to the human nature, because this is still in our hands. So you said, yeah, I'm like, like the good guy, you're like the bad guy, good cop, bad cop. That's great. We should learn how to collaborate. This is what we're doing right now, you and me. We're friends. We're bringing
Absolutely.
two opposites, maybe ideas of the same side, or two different sides of the same thing. And then we are talking, negotiating, even laughing. This is for me utopia. It's not the eradication of bad or of dark. This is impossible, right? It's impossible. Whatever will happen, there's going to be nighttime. Whatever is going to happen, there's going to be winter time. We have to accept that there is a bright side and a dark side to everything, but they don't have to fight with each other. That's what I'm saying. Just like you and I, we're not fighting with each other. Also, those powers outside don't have to fight with each other. They can work together. So this is still in the hands of humanity. The knife can be used like this or can be used like that. The hand that holds the knife will decide. So our job is now to bring awareness to those parents that they will teach morality to their children. And, I've started experiencing with AI once it went out to the public, so several years already, and I've noticed that there are codes of morality imprinted in it. Certain things that you cannot do, certain things you cannot use it for. In the beginning, it was even outdated. I think it was dated 2 years prior to the time that we used it. Now it's more up to date. So they did put some sort of a structure to protect us from, using it immorally, let's say it like this. The idea is still not what AI will do in the future. This will be determined by what we do today. If you mentioned the movie The Matrix, Morpheus is telling Neo right from the get-go, we don't know how the war started, but we know that we were the one that scorched the skies. This is what he tells him. This is still in humanity's hands. How we take this power tool that is called AI, how much power we give it, by how much power we use it. And when we are teaching it Remember that. This is just like you said, a parent teaching his child. If I treat my child with respect, with benevolence, with grace, with compassion, with structure, then I will teach that child to be the same, because the child is built to look at me and to mimic me and to follow more or less, more than less, the path that I am following. So it's what I'm seeing, since I'm a parent, that many parents are structuring their children or putting laws and restriction that they themselves don't follow. Now, the children are not dumb. They are very smart and they can see through. So they think to themselves, what the heck is going on? My parent is telling me one thing, but he himself is acting differently. So what should I follow? The words or the actions? And they will follow the actions. So we need to understand that we need to enforce ourselves. If we want our children to grow up in a certain morality, same as with AI, if we want AI to follow a certain morality, we need to enforce ourselves. So we are the one that are the standards, showing our children, showing AI how to behave, how to handle a lot of power, a power that can be destructive, how to handle that power to the betterment of ourselves, our family, and humanity. So far, so good?
Yep.
And when we go to talk about social media, this is just a projection of everything that we've said right now. Social media is, you could say, the new uncharted territory, the playground, the wild west of playground for children, right? People are coming there. You saw what happened in the last 30 years since social media exists. It's a ground for many of those bullies. I think they are called trolls in the social media world, right? People that maybe, you know, in the real world wouldn't show that side of themselves because they're afraid. They feel that they can bully anybody that they want on social media because they are protected by the non-existence, non-reality of that world.
Right. And with that being said, social media, I believe, is the victim of its own success, or should I say the victim of its own failure? Because, yes, bullies and people like that were allowed. There were first a few restrictions just to make social media and everyone there to look good in the eyes of the broad public. But we all know very well that these trolls were basically allowed to thrive. And what happened after the trolls? Bots came in. Bots are doing exactly the same things that trolls are doing, continuously, relentlessly, automatically, and systematically, without, as if it's the right thing to do. They're just following protocol, which is a very heartless thing that is happening right now. This is straight up artificial intelligence going against humanity. Okay, now social media being used as a platform, as a means to do that. So social media, in a sense, has become the victim of its own failures. And we are seeing that right now because AI is taking over social media. We're seeing so much AI trash, steaming piles of AI trash online right now. And it's affecting humans directly. I'm looking at I have a WhatsApp family chat, and my sister and my mom and my aunt and anyone who's on there still communicating with the rest of the family, they're all sharing all this AI slop. It's constant. Now you think at first, ooh, okay, this is really pretty. AI art, showing all kinds of marvelous things, and everything just looks perfect. And I mean perfect. That's how it started. But at some point, as a human being, things start to become dull. They start to become annoyingly boring. like, this is not real. This is not, there is something so fake that it just hurts me to watch it. It disgusts me,
Yes.
right? So
And
it's like, it's one of those things. This is like the AI slop, for example, that my family has been exposed to via social media. It is all over social media right now, and along with all kinds of negative messages. And I do believe, and I do strongly believe, that there is not that many years left. I would say maybe 10 years tops, and that's exaggerated, where platforms like Facebook are going to basically fall completely. We saw already what happened to MySpace back in the day, and that's before AI even existed for the broad public. But endless advertisements, you no longer see any posts from your friends. A lot of the episodes that we're posting of Katazakan, what we're doing right now, we are sharing this on a platform like Facebook. We, except for me, who is directly subscribed to it because we kind of are the creators of that, we
they
are the
don't
only
promote it.
people who see this. It's like there are very few people who can see this. The
Yes.
algorithm at this point is not pointing people in the direction necessarily that they want. It's pointing people in the direction that it wants. So what I'm trying to say is that it is a platform like Facebook, which is social media, which is a very grand social media, or has been for many, many years. What is it, since 2005, I think? Maybe earlier? I could be wrong. Feel free to correct me in the comments, but I think it's falling apart. This is where we at right now. This is, I believe, a very strong point of failure, but I actually do see some very positive outcomes from all of this.
This is why Facebook has changed its name to Meta. Not because it wants to change, not because it wants to divert all the negativity that was around Facebook, but also because it realizes earlier on that the world is moving towards a hyperspace that is going to be completely fake, completely artificial, and this will be the world of Meta. Now, people are facing now a choice, a grand choice. Where do I want to go with my life? Where do I want to take it? Do I want to continue faking things, believing that, reality is a made up things where I continuously give away my power, and in return, I receive a sort of emotional stimuli like dopamine and serotonin and endorphins and adrenaline to pump me, while gradually my body is decaying, my creativity is dying. Those people will move towards meta, towards hyper megalomaniac cities that will be built up towards the sky, and where the communication will start completely move to be artificial or non-personal. On the other hand, there are those who wake up and understand, I lost touch with reality, right? Everything is fake. Everything is artificial. I don't know right from wrong. I don't know what's real anymore. I don't know if the piece of news that they show me now on television, I have no idea if it's really happened or if it's fabricated. I have no idea if the one who commented on my post, is it a real human or is it a bot? So I need to make a choice. Do I choose real life? Then meaning I have to create a different platform for it, a more physical, personal platform where I can face the person that I'm talking with, where I can have a genuine conversation, where I can rely on my inner compass and on my consciousness to determine, is this real? Is this true? Is this contributing to me? Can I work with that? Right? So this is where we're going. There's really literally a split in humanity right now. And every one of us has to decide, where do I want to go? Do I want to continue believing in that? You could call it a lie, or you could call it fake, or you could call it fabricated, right? Do I want to believe in that and put my life more and more into it? And this will include, by the way, giving my power to more governmental structure, giving my health power to somebody else that will put chips into my skin that will tell me when do I need to regulate my blood pressure, when do I am losing iron, or when do I need to breathe more oxygen, and who knows where it's going to take us. Or am I going to rely more on the natural given power that I've received from God, from the Creator, from this creation, and know how to turn myself into a superhero, right? This is the difference between being a superhero and being a slave to a system that tells me what I'm going to do, where I'm receiving superpowers which are not mine, which are only happening in a sphere that is artificial. Does this make sense?
It does make sense, and I really do pray that we are going to be the masters of our own natural freedom. I really, really do. And with that being said, it's one of my biggest dreams. One of my biggest dreams is just to the last years of my life. And when I say last years, I want it to be many, 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 many years combined, with my feet deep in the soil, with my head staring at the sun like this, just lifted up, looking at the sun. I don't know, biting on a really juicy tomato from back home, like the one that you let me taste the other day when I was there. It's one of my. This is how I want to live my life. This is the type of freedom. This is the type of. It's just natural exposure. I want to live a natural life, and I want to live, and then peacefully die a natural life. And I can only wish that many others will be joining us on this journey, because there's going to be a major, I would say, power shift within the digital world, whether it's social media or AI or both. Something is going to change. Something major is going to change, and it's going to change our lives. And I really hope that when those people wake up, that there's going to be enough other people to guide them into freedom from the digital world. Simple as that.
Yes, they are, and there will be. And before you wrap it up, my dear friend, I think there's a lot more to talk about on this subject. Let's do the next episode as a continuum to this one, where we even try to find solutions, or maybe even predict some possibilities and alternatives for where society can take AI, and especially when it comes to social media and social platforms. And I personally this is why I created, my digital sphere, which is called TheShaAr International Community. The link is in the description box. It's also, it's everywhere in my social platforms. It's a social digital platform, but the idea is to bring people together so we can create things in this physical reality, not lose ourselves to an external power, but learn how to harness our own natural given power, and how to put it into use in the way that is contributing for ourselves, for our families, for our nation, and for society in general, for human race. So join me on that, and let's have the next episode continue this subject.
Absolutely. And just to solidify your point, the fact that we do require another episode to continue discussing this just tells us all how deep we are into this world, that it really does require our undivided attention to see how we fit in it or how we fit ourselves out of it. Thank you all for watching. I really do appreciate all our viewers and listeners. You've been great. Feel free to leave us comments, like, share, and subscribe. We love you very much, and may we have freedom.